And one day, about a year ago on a Saturday, Elena and I said, hey, wouldn't it be great to take our two young daughters to see this place that I used to work at? I mean, not only does it have incredible green spaces and beautiful parks, if you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about, but also it has some incredible buildings. In fact, the main building, Plant Hall, as you see on the screen, that used to be a hotel 100 years ago that people would come to from all around the world. For example, the Queen of England, she stayed there. The Prince of Wales stayed there. Teddy Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, they stayed there. Even Babe Ruth, the most prolific baseball player of all time, he signed his first baseball contract in the dining room of Plant Hall. And so over the years, it's partly become a museum. You may have been to the museum before. It's also become partly classroom space for students at the University of Tampa. And so we said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if our two young daughters, especially Abigail, who was 4 years old at the time, to see this incredible building? And so about a year ago on a Saturday about midday, we drove over to Plant Hall. We parked behind Plant Hall. And as we did, Abigail looked out the window and she said, Mommy, Daddy, where are we? And I said, we're at the University of Tampa. Daddy used to work here. And she looked out the window again. She said, Mommy, Daddy, you didn't tell me that we were going to see a castle. Now, friends, at this point, we had to make a parenting decision, okay? Do we let this go or see where it goes and try and go with it? We decided, let's just see where this goes. We said, oh, okay, a castle? Well, Abigail, do you want to go see the castle? And she said, yes, let's go. I want to see the princess. And Elaine and I looked at each other in the front seat. We're like, oh, the princess. And then we quickly came up with something. We're like, well, sometimes they like to travel on the weekends. Royals are always traveling. So if there is a princess here, it's likely that the princess might not be here. You know what Abigail said? She said, oh no, she's here. I just know it. We're like, all right, well, here we go. So we went into the back of Plant Hall. We went up the stairs. If you've ever been inside, it has the cushiest carpet in the world. And then we're looking around at all these statues and paintings and different things like that. But Abigail, she wasn't paying attention to any of that because she was looking for the princess. And so we followed her down the long hallway. We went upstairs, the second floor, looking in the classrooms. Nope, no princess here, no princess here. Finally, we had looked through the entire building, and we made our way down to the lobby. And we were getting ready to tell Abigail, I'm sorry, I think the princess is traveling this weekend. When all of a sudden, she looked out the front doors of Plant Hall and said, Mommy, Daddy, the princess. And we're like, wait, what? And she's like, come on. And so she led us out the front doors, and right there on the front steps of Plant Hall was a bride and a groom and the entire wedding party, and they had just gotten married, and they just happened to be at that moment taking pictures right on the front steps of Plant Hall. And Abigail just looked at us like, I told you she would be here. And so we kind of, motioned off to the side. We're like, let's get over here. We can watch them, but let's not get in their way. And so we watched them for about a minute, and Abigail's just staring at the bride. Like, she's not caring about anything else. She's staring at the bride. And all of a sudden, two of the bridesmaids, they turn around and they see us off to the side, and they quickly put two and two together. They see what Abigail's doing, and they say, hey, do you want to meet the princess? And Abigail was like, uh-huh. And so they got the attention of the bride. The bride turned around and said, hey, do you want to come over here? And Abigail sort of looked at us like, is that okay? And we're like, yeah, go ahead. You can go on over there. And so she went over there, and she knelt down. The bride knelt down, and she said, hey, what's your name? And Abigail said, my name's Abigail. And she said, Abigail, you have the most beautiful eyes. You know what? I know that one day you're going to be a princess too. Now, friends, we were kind of off to the side with Haley. We couldn't really hear everything that they were saying, but at some point, Abigail reached into her pocket, and she picked out this little flower that she had picked outside of Plant Hall earlier, and she gave it to the bride. And the bride said, oh, Abigail, this is so beautiful. You know what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to stick it in my bouquet, and I'm going to keep that bouquet forever. And whenever I look at that bouquet and I see your flower, I'm going to think of you. And then the bride, she took the flower, she put it in the bouquet, then she took a flower off of her bouquet, and she gave it to Abigail. She said, Abigail, I am so happy that I got to meet you today. I will always remember our time together. And then the bride gave her the biggest hug. They said their goodbyes, and Abigail just walked back to us like this. Now, friends, you know what was so amazing about that interaction? Was that the bride, she didn't have to do any of that. I mean, think about it. This was her wedding day. This was the day to celebrate her, and yet in the midst of everything that was going on, she stopped the photographer, she stopped the wedding party, she had all these family and friends who were waiting for her at the reception, and yet she took 5 minutes to meet with my daughter and make her feel like she was the most important person in the world at that moment. And you know, for days and weeks afterwards, whenever we get together with family and friends, the very first thing that she would say, you know what she'd say? She'd say, guess what? I went to a castle and I met a princess on the day that she got married. And friends, every time she told that, you could just sense how amazed she was that a princess took the time to speak with her.